I'm confident we will walk this difficult period with dignity. We will become even stronger, and we will implement all the long-term plans and large-scale projects aimed at achieving the development goals. I'm confident that the support of the centuries-old family values and tradition will bring our organizations together, all the political parties together, all of us. The decisions that we made to develop the country, to develop the regions, must be efficient and fair, must increase and enhance the welfare and life quality of the Russian families. We are open to strengthening good neighborly relations with all the countries that see Russia as a reliable and honest partner. And I'm speaking about the global majority. We do not refuse to engage in a dialogue with the Western countries. It is up to them to try to hinder the development of Russia, to go on with their policy of aggression, of the ongoing pressure on our country, or they will rather look for cooperation and peaceful relations with our country to discuss strategic stability and safety. This dialogue is possible, but not from the standpoint of arrogance and exclusivity, but only by respecting the interests of each other. And we will work with our partners, with other sovereign centers. We will continue to work to establish the multipolar world order, the equal and indivisible system of security. In the world that is rapidly changing, we must be self-sufficient and competitive. We must open new horizons for Russia, as it happened throughout our history on many occasions. And we must not forget about the tragic price of all the inner chaos. So our system must be strong and resilient to any challenges and threats. It must ensure gradual development of one country, of the unity in the country. But we must not stop because we want to be stable. We must be flexible. We must continue to make progress, to move forward. We can see how the situation in the society is changing, how reliability, mutual responsibility, sincerity, honor, and courage are appreciated in today's society. I will make everything to make sure that the people who showed their best qualities, who proved how loyal they are to their motherland, took high offices in the country, in all the areas and in all the fields. We must think about many years to come, dozens of years to come. We must raise new generations that will strengthen the strength of the country. We must develop the multi-ethnic ties to preserve all the ethnicities living in Russia, to develop the civilization united by the Russian language and our multi-ethnic culture. Friends, I will do everything that I can, everything that we need to win your trust, to prove you right. And I would like to underline the outcome of this work largely depend on our unity and our consolidation. It depends on our desire to be useful for our homeland, to work hard, because we are now responding to our 1,000 years history, our ancestors who made sacrifices, who were gaining a lot because they were thinking about their homeland, first of all. And to achieve high goals, we can only if we stand together with our country, with our people. And that's how they build the great superpower globally. And their feats, their accomplishments inspire us today. We look into the future. We plan our future. We are planning and implementing new projects and programs that will make our development even faster, even stronger. We are united in great people, and together we will overcome any obstacles. We will implement everything that we have planned. Together, we will win. It's a song by Mikhail Glinka from Ivan Susanin of 1836. It's an amazing composition. It sends a strong message of optimism. And now we can hear cannons fire to honor the inauguration of the president. It's a solemn march that was also played on June 24th in 1945 in honor of the great victory, when the military orchestra of 1,400 musicians were standing in the middle of the Red Square, and they were playing this piece, they were singing this song in honor of the Russian people. President's standard, you can see it on your screens, and across the Red Square and in the Kremlin, outside the Kremlin, everyone can hear this cannon shots. It's also part of the tradition to celebrate the inauguration of the Russian president. President's standard is always raised above the residence of the head of state when he is there. It's a replica, actually, and the president's standard itself is always stored in the president's office. Head of the state delivered a speech where he said that now, in these times, we are responsible in the face of our history. We are responsible in front of our ancestors. He spoke about obstacles and challenges. He spoke about the need to be flexible, about the atmosphere in the society. He spoke about our values, and he spoke about the future our country is facing now. And it is on this high note the first part of the solemn ceremony is over in the Grand Kremlin Palace. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain your seats. Attention to the screens at the Cathedral Square. The ceremony of the introduction of the President's regiment to the head of state, the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, is going to take place on the occasion of him being sworn in as the President of the Russian Federation. And now we can see the interior of the Grand Kremlin Hall. It hosts the Alexander Hall, the St. Andrew's Hall, where the guests have gathered. And in several minutes, the second part of the solemn ceremony is going to take place. At the Cathedral Square, the President is going to see the President's regiment, and the guests inside the Grand Kremlin Hall, they can now look at the screens to see the second part of the ceremony. We have already seen the soldiers of the President's regiment. They were carrying in the Constitution, the President's badge, the standard, and the flag. But the ceremony is not over yet, and very soon at the Cathedral Square we are going to see the second part, the President's regiment introduced to the President. We saw the Prime Minister, Mishustin, and the Deputy Head of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, and now we can see the Cathedral Square, where the ceremony will be continued, and the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, who sworn in office, is going to be introduced to the President's regiment, and it will be the final part of the ceremony. And while in the first part of our ceremony we focused on the Grand Kremlin Palace more, now the focus will be shifted to the Cathedral Square. And now the President is walking along the so-called White Corridor. And next to the President, at the head of the security service of the President, we are in the Grand Kremlin Palace, but soon we will move to the Cathedral Square, which is one of the main focal points of today's ceremony. And the President's regiment will be presented to the President, who has just been sworn into office. We are live. This is the Grand Kremlin Hall, and a few seconds later, Vladimir Putin is going to enter the Cathedral Square of the Moscow Kremlin. The President will walk across one of the chambers of the Kremlin, a milestone place that was constructed for the various solemn ceremonies. From the Ivan the Terrible until the Peter the Great times, the Russian parliament was convening there. They were taking place in the Faceted Palace, and the first Russian czars were also there. And then the palace was used for various protocol events. And we can see the so-called holy part of this palace, because this part is adorned with the various images from the Holy Book, from the Bible. Now we are about to move on to the second part. We can see the porch of the Faceted Palace. That's called because you can see its facade has been built out of this kind of stone, so-called faceted stone. And back in the middle of the 15th century, this palace has become a reception hall to enhance the status of the Russian capital. Spacious, some 500 square meters large. It was the first building in the European style inside the Moscow Kremlin, and for more than 500 years it's been serving as the reception hall. And it's a governmental residence of the President. The various important events are taking place here. Everything is ready for the meeting with the President's regiment, and you can see the porch, you can see the staircase. Everything has been prepared for this occasion, for this event. And the soldiers were gathered in the Cathedral Square. Now you can see Vladimir Putin walking down the stairs. He's walking down the stairs of the Red Porch to inspect the President's regiment troops. Regiment 10 Shen.
Comrade President of the Russian Federation, the Presidential Regiment Celebrating the taking of the office of the President of the Russian Federation has been lined up. Commander of the Presidential Regiment, Colonel Kuragin. Hello, comrades. Congratulations on the 88th of establishing the regiment. Attention. Now let's continue telling about what the Presidential Regiment is. It's a truly elite military unit established 88 years ago. Its key objective is ensuring the security of the state leaders and guarding the Moscow Kremlin. Its troops take part in military rituals, protocol events, and guard the eternal flame and the tomb of the unknown soldier. And since year 2000, they take part in the presidential inauguration, and they bring into the whole state attributes and symbols of presidential power. This unit has the status of Special Service Regiment and reports directly to the President. And Kremlin Regiment units face very rigorous selection. They have to be at least from 170 to 190 centimeters tall, with great grades at school and very high health standards. And of course, any police records prevent anyone from ever getting close to the presidential regiment. Another interesting detail is that presidential regiment troops, they have to know all the Kremlin towers by hand, by heart. And this applies to the cavalry escort. And the names of troops of this unit. The troops of this unit guarded the Kremlin in 1941 from day one of German aerial raids on the Kremlin. They were on duty 24/7, and in 1942-43, 4 sniper groups were detached to the Volkhov front. In the Great Patriotic War, the regiment lost 97 people, and later it took part in the Victory Parade under a banner that was handed to it in 1944. Special attention in their training is paid to physical training. Juggling a Simonov carbine like this takes months of rigorous training. And the uniforms, their uniforms are blue shoulder straps and a chest badge. And of course, they perform their duties in any weather. Look at their stunts. And temperatures in Moscow right now are downright wintry. So Vladimir Putin has taken on the office of the President of the Russian Federation. Indeed, our national leader, has come to the final of this election with an unprecedented results, an all-time high. And Russia is now going through a pivotal moment in its history, not only its history, but the history of all mankind. The future is at stake, the future of our children is at stake, and he knows very well the burden, the responsibility that lies on the shoulders of our national leader and of every one of us. Hence the record-breaking turnout and over 87% of support.
Тот самый кавалерийский эскорт на ваших экранах. Ну, итак, мы видели, как прошел смотр президентского полка, но на этом...
So now we saw the review of the presidential regiment, but the ceremony doesn't end here. We're still at the Cathedral Square, the very heart of the Moscow Kremlin, the oldest in Moscow. And now we see Vladimir Putin going up the stairs of Blagoveshensky Cathedral to meet the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church. Ladies and gentlemen, the solemn ceremony is over. Thank you. And right now the Patriarch is going to hold a service, and we are leaving the President in the church. So the event that the entire country has been watching is now over, and Vladimir Putin has officially taken the office of the President of the Russian Federation, a country that is united around its leader, a country that is committed to guarding its people and going on its way towards new victories on battlefields and in peaceful life. This is what Vladimir Putin was talking in his address to the Federal Assembly and to the people of the Russian Federation. And a couple of words on what's next. On your screens, the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church,
обещали люди российские сохранять. Подчиненные же ему управлять и на путь истины и правды, и от лицеприятия мстоимства отражать. Умножить дни жизни его в нерушимом здравии и благополучии. Подашь ему и всем нам во все дни правления его тихое и безмолвное житие и всяко временной и вечной кончине потребное. Да так в мире, поживше, восславим Тебя, нашего всещедрого владыку и благодетеля, и в радости и благодарении сердец наших воспоем. Слава Тебе, Богу, благодателю нашему, во веки веков. Всегда, ныне и присно, и во веки веков. Христос воскресе из мертвых, смертью смерть поправ. Христос воскресе из мертвых, смертью смерть поправы, несущим благодаря живот даровавый, истинный Бог наш, молитвами пречистая Своя Матери, святых славных и всехвальных апостолов, святых и праведных Богоотец, Иаким и Анны, и всех святых, помилует и спасет нас, яко благ и человеколюбец. Президенту богохранимые страны наши, российские, Владимиру Владимировичу, подашь, Господи, благоденственное и мирное правление, здравие же и спасение, на враги же победу и одоление, и во всем благое поспешение, и сохрани его на многое лето. Ваше превосходительство, дорогой Владимир Владимирович, уважаемый всеми нашей страной,
Your Excellency, Mr. President, respected by all of us, on the day when you are taking the highest office in our country, becoming the President of Russia, we are praying for you. We know that you appreciate these words and you pray yourself, and by the grace of Lord, in our times, we are blessed to have the head of our state, an Orthodox person who is not ashamed of his faith. And when so many Russian citizens see as the head of state not only a successful politician, but a kind-hearted, clever, warm-hearted person. And this combination of kind-heartedness and strict attitude is the point that stops people at power to walk the right path. And the head of state sometimes have to make difficult decisions. And if one does not make such a decision, consequences can be dangerous for the people and for the state. But these decisions almost always
И никогда такого рода решения, принимаемые во благо народа, во благо страны,
are important. And these decisions have never been condemned by the people. And we know how many saints who were at their time heads of our state, and at the battlefield they were fighting for their people. Suffice it to remember the Prince Alexander Nevsky. He had no mercy for the enemies, and later he was hailed as the saint, because it is one thing to protect the country from the enemies, and it is another thing to try to crush everyone left and right. These are different things. And whether the head of state wants it or not, but he's looked up to. He is a role model for the troops, for intelligentsia, for the young people. You are this role model. God help you to continue to serve the country, and this service was bestowed upon you by the Lord with the love to the state. And sometimes you have to make very difficult decisions, no matter how difficult these decisions are. You have to make them with this vigor in your heart. You must have this strength as the head of state to make these decisions, because on your actions, the destiny of the country depends. And today, especially, I wish you peace in your soul. Because if only you have struggle inside your heart 24 hours a day, then it's very difficult to sustain for a human's body. And when you're so in such a disarray, it's very difficult. That's why, for an Orthodox person, for a person of faith, it's very important to find time for prayer. And you do, I know that. It's important to find time to ponder not only about your professional duties, but about your life, about your personal life. And I know that you find time for these thoughts, and all to strengthen your spiritual and physical strength. And by blessing you today as the President, we will continue to support you and help you in our prayer to ensure that the Lord supported you in your life to lead, to rule the great country, our homeland, Russia, with dignity. And Russia today is on a very difficult path, going through difficult part of its history. May Lord be with you until the end of days, as we say, and let's hope you will remain in power until the end of days. You have everything to continue to successfully serve your country, your people. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Serve Russia. And the Patriarch also said certain words to President Putin, That was the most personal, most sacred moment of today's ceremony. We thank all our spectators, our audience. Thank you for being with us during this broadcast. Ernest Moskevicius and Ekaterina Berezovskaya were with you today. All the best. Goodbye.